Hey guys, and welcome back to this second season of the Centurions podcast, Man and Machine podcast Xtreme, as we'd like to call it. And we had a quite bit of a break for Christmas and for the winter time. Hey Mark, how's it going?
Oh, I'm doing very well. Hope you are too, Yuri.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's really good that we took a little bit of a break because a lot of new things have happened in the world of Centurions. Our first guest, actually, who let's keep him a mystery for a few more minutes, is actually really relevant to the new improvements or new developments in the world of the Centurions. Have you heard of any other new things about the Centurions beyond our guest today?
Well, just that Lego guy whose guest on appearance on the show I unfortunately had to miss, but yeah, so that's going on. So that's a very nice project.
Yeah, his name is Jarek and Neo, and he's actually, I think he started shipping his first Lego oversized Lego slash Centurions figures. And yeah, I think there I saw a gentleman also like start designing. He's from South America, some figures,
Oh yeah,
but he's more like 3D designing them and basically I don't know if he plans on printing them, but he's working on the unreleased toys as well. So that's exciting. So yeah, how was your just for a minute? How was your Christmas break? Did you get any cool toy presents, or did you buy anything?
well, no toys, but I did get the DVD of the original Centurions miniseries, the first 5 episodes that were shown in April '86, months before the rest of the show. So now all I need is
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so now all I need is volume one, and I'll have the entire series on DVD.
That's really cool. You know, when I first moved to the U.S. and I had the pleasure of visiting Dragon Con in Atlanta, I managed to find one of these bootleg DVD stands, and I was able to buy the complete collection. It was like like a weirdly photoshopped cover, but and it, like a triple DVD case, but it featured all the episodes, and I was really happy. But then I figured, or then I realized that I think it was coded for US, like the US region, and I had
Uh-huh.
a European laptop, so I had to wait until I could watch it.
Yeah, I have the official ones on Warner Archive.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like the burn on demand thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, I know that one thing a lot of kids would be, or grown up kids would be really happy to see um, for Christmas or Easter or any holiday or any special occasion is definitely a new version of the Centurions. And as much as, the people have been really trying to buy all the available figures and weapon systems on eBay, and prices have seen a really steep increase. Fortunately, there's a group of guys who are actually reproducing the figures, but not reproducing. The better word is creating a third party version of the figures, which is really awesome. As many of you might know, Transformers has a really long history of third party figures, and it is, I think it's a really good thing because it incentivizes both the original, both Hasbro or the original, creator of the product to up their game, and it also helps fans get really high quality, premium adult collectibles of their favorite characters. And representing Ramen Toy is our guest here. Hey Ace, how's it going?
Hello, Yuri. Hello, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining the show.
Mhm. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
So basically, the way we kind of found you is actually someone months ago probably posted pictures of your first I think it was like a 3D draft of the figures. I think they weren't even colored at that point, and then we really saw a great development of the figures. First, the helmets were identical. Then, now recently you've shown the customized helmets for the three characters. So there's a lot here to actually talk about. But just as an intro, could you please introduce yourself, introduce the team, how big is it, and basically just help us see who you are.
Okay. There is myself and a friend of mine. So two of us are in this project together, and we employ one of our contacts who is a 3D modeler. So basically,
Mhm.
we provide the ideas of how we want the figure to be like, and you know he produces the 3D render, which is what we had put on Facebook initially, and we sort of use our factory contacts to come up with the actual prototype, which we are currently having, well, the version of second version to the 6 inch, because initially we had wanted to make the figure as a 110 scale, and we felt that 110, you're getting more bang for the buck in terms of the size. But we had some feedback from collectors who are also having a passion for this, and some were saying, well, most of them were saying that the current trend of figures is towards 12 inch, and they made references to Marvel Legends, to the GI Joe classified series,
Oh
and
yeah, 1/12 scale.
even, yes, 112 scale. So we actually, uh, in that sense, we actually sort of wasted our finances on the onset for making it 7 inch, and we had to redo things in 6 inch. So the first rendition, uh 7 inches, we had the prototype, but that was quickly scraped, and we proceeded to have everything sized down to 6 inch. So yeah, I think I went on a little bit more than just the team. So basically, the team is just
Mhm.
a two-person, and yeah, we're just trying to. I mean, the time is now, right? The time is now for us to put up what we want to do, and we have a passion for these figures, and we feel that if we delayed it any further, then we might see somebody else doing it. And this has been our story so far. We have always had many ideas, from the early 2010 years ago. We had like ideas, and every time when we dragged our feet on these ideas, then we find that somebody else has done it. So this time around, we
Oh,
are quite hopeful that we don't get intercepted again.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. That's really awesome. Um, so essentially, for those of you guys out there listening to this, you probably, if you listen to the previous episodes, you know that Mark has a different collector's story and relationship with this show because, he saw it already as an adult in the 80s. I wasn't, I was actually literally born, I was in my mom's, womb at the time when the show was on TV. So basically, all of these Centurions figures around me are the exact same age as I am. So that's a personal connection. But I'm wondering for you guys, when did you learn about the Centurions? Since you guys are in China, did they actually air that there, or did you see it on the internet? Like, what's your history with the show and the toys?
Well, my history is, I bought the toys. and I had never watched the animation. So I'm more of having a relationship because I had owned the toy, and the only
Mhm.
toy that I've owned is actually Max Ray. And
Oh.
I didn't have a chance to get the rest, Ace McCloud, Jake Rockwell, but I did get both Doc Terror and Hacker. So it's
Mhm.
kind of funny. So I got two bad guys, one good guy, and I never had the chance to buy any of the weapon systems. Probably because it's well, out of my reach, too expensive or not available. And yeah, so we have that connection based on the fact that we had played with the toy in the past, and even though we were not privy to watching the cartoon, we still felt that connection.
So, Ace, you mentioned that you basically saw the figures first and only in a way because you didn't have access to the show. Um, so, with the figures, how did you actually see them? Did you see in someone else's collection online, or did you actually see it in person before you bought them um, over
Yes, it
there?
was it was available in the toy department of the shopping center. So
Oh, wait. So
yes,
so you got them in the 80s when the show was on?
yes, I'm a 80s baby, rather. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wait. Which year were you born in?
1977.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm 86. So yeah, yeah, I see that. So okay, so basically you saw it in the store, and then basically your parents probably picked it up for you, and then you just had the two bad guys and Max for like 20 years.
Yes, that's correct.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Um yeah, awesome. And so how came the idea to get the show? Was it like a special show that you always you dreamed of, having toys made of again, or how did the idea come about?
Well, my whole life has been about toys. From collecting Masters of the Universe to
Mhm.
Mask to Centurions to Sky Commanders to Visionaries, everything that
Mhm.
was available in the stores, I had. Well, I've not bought everything, but every genre we had a chance to buy. One, two, three, four figures. So yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
from from very young, the passion for toys has always been in my veins, and as we got into our careers, we were also in the toy sector because we are um, sort of working for companies that was doing toys, and these companies also branched out to getting their own license to make license collectibles. So we were all
Mhm.
very involved with the production of these uh, previous projects with the companies that we were employed with, and we went down to the factories, and we have a good 10 years experience with handling, well, not handling, but rather to know how things are done at the factory, think how things are done from a prototype to a tooling to a production, the perils of what would go wrong in
Mhm.
making a tooling, the perils of what will go wrong in making a production, even to the
Mhm.
packaging, having to package something that would be secure. Otherwise, when you are shipping it, and if it's not secure, things will pop out, and or the paints will get rubbed off on the blister. So everything that has been, well, everything that we have experienced up to this point, that we are now making our own action figure. So that is what it is.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I had another question for you, which is why use only one body design?
Okay, Mark. The tooling is extremely expensive, and if we were to make three separate bodies, it would be exactly three times the cost of one body. And with our projection of only selling that many units, it is not at all within any financial uh, feasibility to for us to want to make separate bodies. So I mean, we're on very lean margins, and we felt that with one body we will be able to amortize the tooling. So once we are able to amortize the tooling, that's when this project has a chance of have a chance of some financial returns.
Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable because you don't want to invest into having three, molds designed, just to then not see the project take off, and for various reasons. So that's actually a really smart thing. I think probably from your perspective as well, we have discussed this before the podcast, and from the collector's perspective as well. It's it might actually be reassuring to know what you just said about your history in the toy manufacturing business and the industry itself, that you're not a rookie, a newcomer who just like woke up with the idea one day to produce the toys. So actually you've been in the industry, and you and your partner, you guys have various skills that actually support trusting you, and pre-ordering the toys.
Well, that is obviously just my word, and we have to let our product do the talking.
Smart, wise words. And so essentially, like Mark said, there are some, of course, fans always want the best, the most, the highest quality, the best size that matches with the other figures. I would kind of to veer off, the Mark's initial question. Are you actually planning on, if things go well, to maybe include other weapon systems or the unreleased characters? Do you have any long-term tentative plans?
Yes, we are, first of all, trying to see how this first phase uh, takes off. If the first phase is successful, then we are already planning on making other, like the villains, and of
Mhm.
course the weapon system. But we are then probably going to look at Kickstarter for the rest of the projects, because unlike this initial project, which we just mentioned, we can make one body painted three times for three characters, but the rest
Mhm.
of the projects is specific to only one, either one character or one weapon system for one personnel. So that is something that is much more risky in terms of putting in the financial investment, and it might just only sell to a particular quantity. So
Mhm.
um, as much as we want to do it ourselves, as I just mentioned before about how even Kickstarter would like take a cut of it, and that's why we didn't want this initial first attempt to be a Kickstarter. But I'm not contradicting myself. I'm just showing that there are clearly two different kinds of risk assessment here. So to make a weapon system, um, first of all, it is much bigger than the figure itself, right?
Mhm.
So you're talking about already a much higher cost of tooling now, and each, for example, if we do something for land commander, uh, air force commander and naval commander won't be using it, so it's only for the armor commander, right? So it's already
Mhm.
very, it's like a pyramid, and it's, you're already at the top if you are making that one particular thing. So we hope that, once we get the designs out, if the collectors are happy with the designs and they can back the project, then we can, look at Kickstarter for the rest of these uh, potential projects after the first three.
Yeah, I have to
Awesome.
say
That's really
that
great.
I'm hoping that the weapon systems, if and when you make them, will be interchangeable between the figures, just like with the original Centurions.
Yes, definitely. We are, see, there is, unlike the original toys, which, as we all know, the has very limited articulation. Um, our figure has all the articulations of a modern action figure. So that also means that at certain points you are twisting where the holes on the arms and legs are, such that it's not aligned. If you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
do you see what I'm saying? So it's not aligned,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but at least it gives the dynamic posability. So even though if it, but then again, we will never pack any parts uh like three in a row on an arm or on a leg, so it will never be interfering
Mhm.
with the figure's movements. But yes, coming back to your point, yes, of course, if we do a weapon system for armor commander, it will obviously match the rest of the figures because they all have the same body.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So, basically, what technology are you using for the connections? Are you using friction pegs like the original toys?
Um, the original toys is not exactly friction. It is sort of what's the word for it? It's like a if I'm getting the term correct, it's like a butterfly joint, because it
Hmm.
opens up as
Hmm.
you plug it in. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yep,
as
yep, yep.
you push it in, it's like an arrowhead, and then it opens up, so it holds in place. So that is the original toy, but we're not doing that. Our First of all, it's there's no real benefit of doing that kind of joints. So we are going to do standard joints that is similar to the Sigma 6 GI Joe, but a smaller
Hmm.
pack, because obviously the Sigma 6 is a very huge figure, and their holes are much bigger. So we are just proportionally sizing the pegs and holes to our figures.
Oh, I see. I'm not really familiar. I'm a GI Joe collector as well, but I'm not really familiar with those Sigma 6 toys. So basically, but you're saying that they would still hold the weapons well, even if you choose to expand the weapon systems, even like the original figures would be still able to hold those heavier weapon systems. There's enough power in these new connectors to
Yeah,
take, like,
because
for
it is all
example.
it is all from it's all from friction joints, and as long as it's
Mhm.
designed properly, it's going to hold. So even
Awesome.
even right now, we have given consideration to how, I mean, we have given consideration to what kind of materials to use for certain parts of the figure. For example, the entire figure would be a PVC material, because we need to have that feeling of heft and weight to the figure. If you know what I'm saying. right? So
Hmm.
currently, all the figures like Marvel Legends, they are all solid PVC. But there is something unique about the 80s commanders that I hope collectors can appreciate. Is because unlike Marvel Legends and any other figure that I see, even Iron Man, or maybe Iron Man is like our commanders, because like any standard figure, it is a it is a solid torso, a solid chest, everything is solid. But
Hmm.
we are not able to make something solid with our body design because it has holes. It has holes on the
Hmm.
front, it has holes on the back. So with these holes, it has to be built in a way that an Iron Man figure is built, which means that it has a front shell and a back shell that connects together. Now,
Hmm.
the normal convention for this kind of front shell and back shell would be using ABS. But because
Hmm.
ABS, even though it's a good material, it is not something for figures, because when you have an ABS thing put together, it is like a model kit. So if you're familiar with the Bandai Star Wars model kits, it is a front piece, a back piece. You put it together, and it feels light. So that's what not what we want. We want the figure to have a certain feel, which is similar to what all the figures are, which is Marvel Legends and classified, all these things. So it has to be PVC. Now, having said that,
Hmm.
the other parts of the weapons cannot be PVC, because if it's too heavy, then the figure will have problems uh, maintaining balance. So the
Hmm.
backpacks, for example, it will be a ABS construction. The missile launchers and stuff like that, it will be ABS. So we have a mixed material. There is the PVC for the figure. Certain parts are PVC for the weapon system, like the missile projectile itself. But the rest of the housing, the casing, these will be done in ABS. So we have I mean, in line with what you mentioned about what is the uh, engineering of the figure.
Yeah, it really comes over that it's you guys really have researched this and put a lot of course you have to, but you really show that you really went and did a deep dive in this subject, which is really cool. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we all appreciate your attention to detail. I would like to know, will the figures have interactive mechanisms inside them like the originals?
No, they will not, because it's just too much of a uh, effort to make that, and at the end of the day, we feel that it does not achieve um, the kind of, I mean, the what's that, the what am I looking for? The ends does not justify the means, or something like that. I forgot.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it just
Yeah, yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, for that little functionality, these figures are supposed to be collectors, where you display it more than you play with it. So I think that's why we did not, even though we thought about it, we thought about trying to incorporate that mechanism, but it's just not worth the effort, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Actually, I would, even though the kind of the central, the rotating shaft is a central part of the figures, and a lot of play value came from, having the toys, rotate certain parts. I would compare these to the spring-loaded rocket launchers of 80s toys. A lot of adult collectibles nowadays, especially those that are higher quality, more detailed third party or first party, versions of those toys just don't have these spring loaded missile launchers or any of these physical gimmicks, because um, the kids love those, but as adult collectors we might not use them as much. And if you can cut costs on having a feature that would make the figure less good looking, or just would blow up production costs, and for example, the shaft might be something like this. It would be great to have, of course, but it's understandable that since it's an adult collectible, the toy gimmicks, like spring-loaded launchers and the shaft might come second to actually making the figure posable and just making it look really good. So it's definitely understandable.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know if we've just brought this up, but is there any chance he might make any of the unreleased characters like Rex Charger and John Thunder, who were going to appear in the second year? Or there's also Kenner was also considering an astronaut character named Vic McLeod, who was Ace's brother. Any chance we might see their equivalents in your toy line?
I think we covered this question, but go ahead.
I think
I'm sorry.
I think no, I think let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's still try to play the conservative card and see how well our commanders are received. And if everything goes smooth, obviously we are in a position to want to do more, right? We're not trying to do less. We're trying to do more. We're in this to build the ramen brand, and there's more to it than just a one hit wonder. We're not just gonna be a one hit wonder. We already have many other things in the pipeline, but of course, things needs finances to run. So at the moment, it's sort of like building a playing Monopoly and building your funds as you go along, right? You start off the game with only that much of money, and as you go along and you play the game, then you hopefully you will get better, or who knows? I mean, if there's every chance that this project might bomb and we go to jail, and that's it, we go bankrupt. So right, it's that's life, right? So yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I,
that's
I, cer-
that's an interesting
I certainly hope
idea.
not. I mean, the entire Centurions fan community wishes you all the success in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing, so since you guys are more experienced, or are actually experienced in the toy business, just basically to kind of, maybe since we discussed the unreleased figures and other weapons sets so far, maybe it would be interesting to discuss redecos, because that's one thing that toy manufacturers, especially collectors of Transformers or even GI Joe, know that basically repainting a figure, exchanging some accessories or maybe replacing the head and then selling it as a new character is one thing to basically make use of the same mold and cut costs while selling another toy. Are you actually considering, before thinking about new characters, maybe if the first series goes well for you, creating just redecos, repaints, because that would use the same mold but maybe um, a different hue of blue, maybe in like a covert outfit for one of the guys, or a different, like a camouflage outfit, or have you considered like repaints as like a 1.5 to the current first wave?
Well, this is always something that is good to have, as long as the collectors are open to it, because we all know that um, there are only three colors for the first line of figures, and any attempt to make them any other color than the original colors might not actually go down well with collectors, right? For
Hmm.
example, we have seen many renditions of Optimus Prime, and I think only the most hardcore collectors would actually uh, go out to buy those kinds of repaints. With the majority, at least for me, my
Mhm.
opinion is that I wouldn't buy Optimus Prime that is painted in pink to be like a RC Prime or something. So, I mean,
Do not say that. Do not
right?
say that. I'm actually looking at my Ghostbusters Transformers collaborative figure, which
Oh,
has Transformers and Ghostbusters logos on a white
right,
Optimus Prime.
right,
So
right.
you don't underestimate the impulse of hardcore fans if they fall in love with your figures to
Yes,
be like,
yes,
oh,
yes.
you know what?
Agree,
I would want a different color.
agree. So yeah, agree. So which is why the 80s Commander is very interesting, because when you come to military, then you have things like stealth stealth colors, which is black, and you have
Mhm.
things like maybe if you look at Metal Gear, he has the transparent rendition. So I think there's a lot of areas to explore, as long as
Mhm.
the collectors are with us, with our plans and our ideas, and not thinking that we're trying to just milk milk. You know what I'm saying, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, just milk them. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
If I could make a suggestion, one of the unreleased figures, Rex Charger, was going to have a glow in the dark exo frame.
Yes, we saw that. Yeah, we saw
Down the
that.
line, that might happen. I assume down the line. But yeah. By the way, since Mark mentioned Rex Charger, so kind of tailing off in that direction. Rex Charger was supposed to have Gatling Guard was supposed to be, I think, the biggest weapon system on the entire line. Unfortunately, it was scrapped. And there was also talks of a a Sky Vault playset. Centurions never had a base or anything like that in the toy line, so that would actually be a really huge project, I assume. If you follow, again, sorry, being a Transformers fanboy here, but they recently sent out their first Transformers HasLab project, which was Unicron, a robot, for those that you don't know who he is, that transformed into a planet, and that was like a $600-700 figure. And it looks wonderful as I'm looking at it from my desk. But it
Oh,
was one
you
of
bought
those
you bought
like
it six
yeah, yeah,
hundred
yeah.
US
I
dollars.
you know what? Yeah, it's 650, I think. But
Wow,
I basically paid for it in advance. I think, or at least I reserved it 2 years ago. So actually it was
oh,
August 2019 when you had to sign up for the funding, and then they funded it, and it took them 2 years, about
wow.
two and 1.5 2 years to produce it, and already the third party stores online are selling it for $1,800, I think, or $1,400, like
Wow,
double, triple the
wow.
price. So, um, if the fan base is there, even these huge play sets are possible. So I'm just curious. Of course, we're asking you about like plans that might come into fruition down the line if the project hopefully succeeds. Would you ever consider, if you sold like all the main characters and some weapon systems, to actually, in a few years, again, tentatively, would you ever wander into the territory of like, okay, let's tackle the big one, which would be Skyvault? By the way, the original plans included Crystal Kane's voice in like a little device that you could push buttons, and it would call out the main characters and their weapon systems. Like, would you actually tackle such a huge project even down the line?
Mm, I wouldn't say no. Um, we are we have to look at it. We have to look at it and see how feasible it is, and how much uh, inspiration we have. If we have the inspiration for it, we can do it. If
Mhm.
we don't have the feel for it, and we do it for the sake of doing it, then it wouldn't be a good a product. We want to make sure that whatever we do We we are fully invested. We are inspired, and like Steve Jobs said, you can only do great work if you love what you do. So even
Hmm.
though they are, it's part of the line, but if we don't really have the feeling for it, then I don't think we should be attempting it. So, but we'll see how it goes.
Makes
Cool.
sense, definitely.
Now, if I could ask something that is a little more about the present of the line rather than the future. Uh, yeah, all we've heard about these characters so far is that you have an air, land, and sea commander. Are they going to have individual names and backstories? Is there going to be anything about the world they came from?
No, we have not planned for any backstory or names. We just want it to be what it is, which is the different commanders, and let the collectors just appreciate what we have done. That's all, without any other attachments.
Awesome. I would say that the most important question is coming up, so brace yourselves in this podcast. Are you ready, Ace?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so brace yourself because this is the most important question that will probably make or break this project. Will the Sea Commander have his iconic 80s mustache?
He has a mustache and a goatee.
Oh, so he's going into the artsy,
Yeah,
90s era.
yeah. In fact, we have already showed the sculpt in our previous picture.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think I remembered. I just want to make sure
Yeah,
because there are the mustache aficionados in the collecting group. So,
yeah. So
that.
I guess A's commander, I mean the sea commander, does charcoal sketches in his spare time.
Mm.
Um, so
Yeah, yeah, and he's wearing like a strange, Swiss hat, and he's drinking lattes in a Starbucks.
yeah.
Yes.
So what are the faces of the other two characters like?
Yes, we have already shown the face sculpts on our Facebook. The Air Force commander has a distinctively different face compared to the armor commander, so you can see it. And then, of course, we will be painting the faces and printing the eyes so that it looks decent enough, like a human being. So yeah.
Awesome. That's really great. Basically, our third, our friend who actually made this thing happen, Nick, is our third member here. He was unable to attend today, but he did send us some questions. And one of his questions actually was, will the packages be something similar to the originals? How do you plan on shipping them? And actually, how would the packaging look like?
Um, Currently, we are looking at something that is simple, because we want to make sure that as long as we package it as tightly as possible, then that would not incur too much of a shipping cost, because these are all going out all over the world, right? Um, we
Mhm.
can say that we are taking inspiration from the GI Joe classified series, where it's a simple uh, box with some box art.
Oh, awesome.
Likely we'll be using our renders as the box art, and it's on
Would
a
you have
blister.
windows on the
Yes,
box?
definitely.
Oh, awesome,
Window,
awesome.
window, but there will not be any flap. And like I said,
Hmm.
we want to keep it as simple shaped as possible, because the original Centurions, as you've seen the toys, they are all of a very weird uh, shape, right? It's a geometric. It's a one, two, three, four.
It's a
Although
half
although it's four
hexagon.
sided, but it's a half hexagon.
It's
So
it's
that
a
would,
rhomboid, by the way.
yes. So
Oh,
it,
okay.
it's not going to help. It's not going to help in terms of packing to ship. It's just going to create more
Mhm, mhm,
space,
mhm.
more volume.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I
So,
think it's really important that the box actually I don't want to say I have some GI Joe classified figures. I do, but I think they're like that's a really good box design. So I think you that's a really wise choice from you because it's important, I think, for a lot of collectors to have that window, which some third-party toys don't have, so that they can have it mint in box, on the shelf, but they can still see the toy. But since it's just it's a traditional box, unlike the by the way awesome original boxes. uh True, it's less prone to transportation damage, and it's just easier to store and to package. So that's actually a good point. So yeah. By the way, kind of like a two-part question. Did you have any concerns before you started producing? And the second part of the question is, did you have any disagreements with your partner regarding any aspect of the toys?
what was the first question again?
Oh, so the first question is: did you expect any problems before the production of the figures, and or did you run into any unexpected problems during the production of the figures?
Um,
Any major
we
challenges you
we
thought would be
we
like, oh, if you can cover that?
yes, there were some challenges, and hence we are fixing it as we speak. For example,
Mhm.
the initial concept has the armor commander having a huge bazooka of a missile, and we figured
Mhm.
that this is not going to work. So we have actually reduced the size of that drastically, as seen in our latest photographs. In order for him to have that on his shoulder, it has got to be much reduced compared to our initial concept. Also, because in order to keep packaging uniform, price uniform, then
Mhm.
all the commanders should have an almost equal load of accessories and ordnance. So in the current form, it is much more balanced. In the previous form, the armor commander would actually be the biggest box, most heavy, and we
Mhm.
felt that this is wrong. Also, to help with the balance of the figure, even with the latest changes, we are now also going to reduce the size of the missile on naval commander by 15%. So
Oh,
was
really?
just this was just something that we decided today because we had the final prototypes this afternoon, and we had
Oh, awesome.
placed the rocket launcher on his arm. And once the launcher
Mhm.
was on his arm, it's quite obvious that it's too big. So we could reduce it by 15%, and it will look more decent and more proportional. And when that part is also placed onto the backpack, it will still look good. So these are the small changes that we have done, along with the fact that we discovered that the helmet requires a dummy head to be inside because of the fact that the helmet is a very close fit thing. The hair
Mhm.
on the hair on the head of those figures is going to obstruct the helmet closing. Because unlike in real life, where our hair can be compressed in a helmet when we wear it, the rigid hair of the figure cannot be compressed. So if we were to not address this issue, then number one, the helmet is gonna not fit on the heads that we've designed. Evidently, from the prototype, we found that it cannot fit. Now, even if we fit it, which means if we increase the size of the helmet just by a little bit more to accommodate the head, again, we're having another problem because of the hair that's not compressed. Therefore, the eyes are not looking through the visor. So if that's the case, then we are
Oh.
actually not producing a a good enough figure where you put the helmet on and then your eyes are not anywhere to be seen because the hair is actually propping up the helmet. So you'll probably be having the forehead looking through the visor. You know what I'm saying? So we actually bit the bullet, even though we tried to want to have everything nice and dandy. But in the end of the day, the way to go is to have a dummy head without hair. So basically, a Bruce Willis figure inside the helmet. And because you can only see the eyes, then we felt that there's no need for us to put on the mustache and the goatee to incur extra costs. So we just have one
Mm.
dummy head with the eyes looking through the visor, meaning this head is what you would have to add into the helmet when you want to put the helmet on. And then once you want to have the helmet taken off, then you can put on the normal head onto the body and put
Mhm.
away the dummy head, and you can have the helmet out out of the head and placed on the hands or anywhere else that you want, just to show that it's without the helmet.
Wow, that's super interesting. So actually, you're not adding a uh, like molded h- helmet and neck and a regular head, but a head, a Bruce Willis head for the helmet, and a separate helmet, so they can actually hold the helmet in their arms, like
Yes,
pilots,
and by
right?
doing this is actually incurring more costs because the fact that we are having more parts. So we hope that collectors can now appreciate where all these costs are coming from.
Gotcha, gotcha. And so the second part of the question, did you have like with your partner, did you have any like differences in like you wanted this size or he wanted that size, or were you always in accordance, or did you have any like such discussions where you had different concepts? I'm just curious about the whole design and production, brainstorming.
Well, basically, my partner is the one that would just go along with my creative direction,
Hmm.
and there are basically no problems there. So he leaves the creative direction to me. I'm more the artistic guy, and he handles the finances. So that's about it.
Yeah, is there any chance of any of the supporting characters from the original series coming out, like Crystal Kane or the Team Pets Shadow and Lucy?
Mark, so this question again is dependent on how the first project takes off, and if there are no other potential obstacles in our way, then we would, yeah, we would love to develop to have more figures to accompany our three commanders.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I appreciate all that, and I just hope that your line is successful enough that these figures can actually be made.
Absolutely, we definitely wish you guys all the success. Um, uh, Two things. One, since you mentioned that the final prototypes have been finished today, or the
Yes.
final renders. Awesome. So have you posted pictures of that already?
Yes, we did. We posted the three photographs, and I am actually going to be doing a small video where I was panning the camera up and down the prototype. But unfortunately, I would not have images of video for the naval commander because the prototype was acting up and it didn't hold in place for me to do the video, and it was getting hot, it was getting humid, it was very stressful to film those guys. I mean, a prototype is very, very fragile. A prototype is made from a 3D print of a material that is very brittle. So unlike the actual tool part, we can't really force things to fit tightly. If you can understand, for example, the head and the ball joint, it wouldn't be the kind of a tight fit because the materials are not elastic. The materials are rigid. So the moment you force it in, it's something's going to break.
So, Ace, you just mentioned that the final prototypes are ready, and timeline wise, what does that mean? When can we expect, a final price point? Do you have any concepts about the price point, and how do you see them? The kind of the shipping and the rest of the production and sales phase.
Yes, we are setting the retail price at 89.90 US dollars per figure, and we are shipping in October or
Mhm.
November this year. And what we'll do is that we will continue to update the progress of the figures on Facebook. We are going to be tooling sometime in end of May, and once we have the tools done, we'll be able to have the test shot and color them according to our renders, and collectors will be able to see the actual piece rather than a prototype. So that's sometime in, if I'm not mistaken, about maybe July. So just a bit more
Mhm.
wait to go. And once we are satisfied with the tools that is good, the fit is tight, then we can proceed with the production and then make the deliverables sometime in October. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds really great. By the way, self marketing. If you need an experienced toy photographer, let me know because I would love to create some shots with these bad boys. So just hinting that.
Yeah, we will give you a good price for to support. Yeah.
I'm just passionate about the whole thing. So
Uh,
yeah, I'll send over my toy photography page later. But sorry for for that. We'll discuss that.
And as I said, if you ever need help coming up with names or personalities for your characters, let me know.
oh wow. We actually have. I mean, this is off topic. We can probably cut it out. Is that we have initially another plan to make our own uh, commanders, but it's set in space, and we had all these idea of coming up with the name of the series, which is Zephyr, and we're finding artists to help us to develop the characters and stuff like that. So yeah, that was something that we thought about. I think like 4 years ago, but we couldn't find the necessary personnel, and we just gave up.
Oh, gotcha.
Well,
It's really cool that you had your own concept. Was that any relation to the Centurions, like the weapons, or there was a completely different project?
Um, it is a completely different project. It was something that we tried to mesh between Centurions and Star Wars. So
huh.
you know, yeah. So something that could. I mean, I'm not really someone who has storyboard ideas, but I could sort of input by means of direction, and then obviously we need a good storyteller, and then we can have some designs that sort of mesh between that Star Wars and Centurion sort of a thing, where you have armor and a
Hmm.
bit of zany stuff like power swords and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, figures are always nice when they have helmets, when they have a suit of armor. So yeah, that was the direction.
Well, that sounds like a cool idea, and in my opinion, you shouldn't give up on it. You might still be able to do it somehow. Oh, and here's another question I thought of just now. We can cut this out if you want, but if this is another speculative thing, if the line continues, is there any chance of there being a female 80s commander?
Oh, come on.
What? It's a
um,
legitimate question.
that is a very interesting one. Although the design would have to. I mean, the designs we couldn't have the chest to be very female because otherwise there is no pecs that could fit in a contour. But yeah, it's a good idea because we also watched The Mandalorian and we love Bo Bota Can. Is that a name? The is that a name? Bota Can? I forgot.
I'm not
Um,
sure.
I haven't watched the show, but
All right.
let's go with that. If you say so, I believe there are so many, Mandalorians in there.
Yeah, the female Mandalorian. So it's yeah, it's
That's actually a really good, way of thinking about it because Mandalorians do have that kind of a like asexual armor. I would say that doesn't really, it's not
yeah,
like the typical fantasy female armor. So
correct.
yeah, and I would totally be curious, regarding seeing Darth Terror show up,
Mm.
and he's like, "I am your father, Amber," or something like that. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting, and actually having a an ecosystem for your toys is also something that I don't know if you've considered or not, but to have your personal project or your original project and the Commander series have interchange, like the same, of course, the same height, maybe interchangeable parts. It's just a interesting concept.
Yeah, we can wish for the world, but we need to also match those wishes with reality. So
Right, right.
Of
Did you
course.
actually consider this Centurions as your first project because it's such a short line that didn't have as many figures as GI Joe, for example, or was it because for a special reason, like you loved it that much?
um, I think if you if the question is posed and it is posed, we have a bigger affiliation for Centurions compared to GI Joe because
Hmm.
GI Joe, we just like certain characters like Baroness,
Same
and
here.
so it's hard for us to do anything like that because if well, first of all, Hasbro is not going to license out GI Joe, although they did
Mhm.
license that Destro to that company. I think it's Masco, is that right?
Yeah,
Masco
Yeah,
Toys.
actually, fun fact: Mesco's warehouse in New York City is actually 2 blocks from me. So whenever I walk past, they have their shipping boxes with that insect face. So they're like,
Mm,
I could just, I guess, walk in. So
mm,
sorry, that's just a tidbit.
yeah.
and
So yeah, I
also,
mean,
if I could bring in another example of GI Joe licensing, Super Seven is going to be making a 12-inch a figure of a Cobra bat with with a transparent chest module so you can see the robot parts to go with their 12-inch Transformers figures.
right. One part about us when we explore into all these licenses is that we do not wish to uh, do the alternative because obviously the big toy companies will keep the action figures to themselves and they will not license that category out, and then they'll give you the sort of crappy categories like eraser figure or a keychain where you can't have articulation. So I think if I'm not too sure, I'm just saying. So for example, when you see Super Sevens, like the very blocky, the blocky style figures, I'm not too sure if that's a licensing restriction. But if we were trusted with this kind of a category, then we would not accept it because it totally does not allow us to express what we're trying to do with a particular vision. So yeah, we wouldn't
Well,
do
this
that.
would be
That's
a
why again,
okay. Well, this Cobra bat is going to be a 12-inch figure, and of course, Super Seven has two series of toys they make. They make the reaction toys, which are based on the old 3-inch Star Wars, and then they have the premiums. I forget what they're called, but those are like 6, 7 inches, and are collector's figures with exquisite sculpting.
right.
Yeah. Actually, I'm curious, Ace. So essentially, theoretically, since you're a third-party manufacturer and designer, um, do you think, or have you seen examples of, you know, having an IP like, for example, Centurions, that's just laying there with no, it's just there with no upcoming toys. It hasn't been touched for 20, 25, 30 years. And
Yeah.
a toy company that owns the royalties maybe striking a deal with a third party manufacturer to just use the IP and get some money off of it and then make collectors happy? Or do you think as long as they're doing it, they're fine, but otherwise they won't let it out their
You
hands?
see, again, this is just for discussion, and maybe if you want to cut it out, right? If it's too sensitive, but I think I would just want to express my experience.
Mhm.
For example, I did approach Hasbro before to get the
Oh,
Visionaries
really?
license.
That's
Yes,
super interesting.
but they said no. They said this.
Oh,
They said they well, I traced the origins to the fact that it's Hasbro that has the license, right, of
mhm.
Visionaries. And when I talked to the licensing uh, lady who was in Hong Kong, either she doesn't know or can't be bothered to find out, but she just said no, 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 just said no, 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 and that's it. That was my end of the road. So, so
Wow.
that leads me to think that there is just no concern for the company to work on things that is not like multi-million dollars. So at that point of time, they were more interested to do Transformers license and anything else like My Little Pony and stuff like that. So, I mean, they are actively looking for licensees. I mean,
Mhm.
we have been to the Las Vegas licensing show on more than one occasion. We know what's going on, but sometimes these companies do not have a feeling for people like us who are not multi corporations that can dish out insane uh, royalty fees. I mean, the moment we talk about royalties, we're basically out of the game. There's no need to even consider
Mhm.
going forward, right? I can give you an example of us approaching Warner Brothers for the Batman license 1989, and
Oh.
yeah, we wanted to do a series of caricature uh, vehicles. So, for example, you
Mhm.
have the Batwing in a caricature form, and the Joker is on the ground. So instead of the Joker in the movie in the '89 Batman, where he was pulling out his gun to shoot the Batwing, this caricature would be the Joker as if he was a ground crew trying to bring in the Batwing safely. You know what I'm saying? He was like
Oh, that's
waving the,
funny. I like that.
yeah. So and then the Batmobile will be parked in front of a fire hydrant, and Batman will be standing there, and the cop is giving him a ticket. So we wanted to pitch this idea, and Warner Brothers said, okay, okay, you can do it. 60,000 US dollars for Asia. I
And that
mean,
means you can exclusively sell to Asia or
yeah,
produce.
only Asia, only like a few countries in Asia. 60,000 US dollars. I mean that we
So, what
the
did you say?
math. I said we said we can't do it. It's impossible. I mean, how do you do it? I mean, the only way we can do
Right.
this thing is to have a global license. We have to sell to the states, to the UK, and all these things, because Asia alone will not be able to sustain the amount of products uh, for that guaranteed fee.
Mhm.
And even if we say okay and do it, then we are forbidden to sell to the US and UK because it's not in a license. So coming back, this is something that is very frustrating because as much as we want to input and do things for the collectors because we are collectors ourselves, at times we are faced with people in the executive positions who are not collectors, who are there as a job, and they don't care for you because what they care is landing a deal from Pepsi or McDonald's that has
Mhm.
multi-million dollar Happy Meal toys and stuff like that. So that's just the way it is.
Interesting. Do you guys remember the movie Big?
Big.
Yeah,
Um,
it was Tom Hanks who was like who as a child
oh
wished to be
yes,
like a
playing the
grown up.
playing the piano, right? On the big
Yeah,
piano.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
Okay.
Mark, I'm sure you remember that one too, right? The movie with Tom Hanks.
I never saw it, but I am familiar with the big piano scene.
Yeah, and so essentially, one of the scenes is that he goes to this company to design toys, and basically, there's this room full of executives, if I remember correctly, and they're pitching this transforming robot. You know, not specifically Transformers, but a transforming robot. And all these room full of there's this room full of all these like executives, and they reveal the robot to transform into a skyscraper. Basically it's like a really nerdy, old school robot, and what can it do? It just transforms into a skyscraper, and the guy is like, you guys don't really understand what, like, toys are about. Like, it should transform into a building, it should transform into like a car or a plane. And they're like shocked, like, what does this guy mean? So of course, probably executives aren't really the best people to make actually toy decisions that produce fun toys. They're just looking for, a better evaluation on their quarterly like assessment, performance assessment.
And yet
Yeah,
they're the ones in charge.
yeah. And if I could say something about visionaries here, now, Hasbro has done a few things with the brand in recent years. They did that limited edition Leoric figure for a convention. They authorized that comic book. They wanted to have their cinematic universe and have Visionaries be a part of it. So I'm not sure if it's just that they don't care about the brand anymore or that they're looking for the right way to bring it back.
Maybe.
Please do not go there. Please do not go there. They are doing this, more this Hasbro universe, and it's Transformers, Visionaries, ROM, and My Little Pony, and Magic the Gathering. So yeah, there have already been My Little Pony Transformers crossovers. I don't want, them to ruin anything with these silly crossovers anymore.
Yeah, and we also approached. We knew that Warner Brothers, unless I'm mistaken, Warner Brothers had the license for Silverhawks, and this was again maybe 4 years ago, and they said that don't ask about Silverhawks.
Really.
Yeah,
It's actually interesting. We were discussing this in a previous episode. Um, and might be interesting if you ever have the time to just listen to some, because we, for example, had a great interview, two-part interview, with the essentially one of the main designers, um,
Alton
who
Takayasu.
designed the yeah, Alton Takayasu, who designed some of the toys, specifically Max Ray. And it was a really, candid interview about, the toy business, how he got into the toy business, and the design aspects, and the current, world of toy design. He's still like a high-ranking designer
Yeah,
for Mattel,
yeah,
Hot Wheels.
yes.
Like, the problem with Centurions that we tried to figure out, um, was that supposedly the copyright is being held by two parties. One would be Hasbro Kenner, and thusly now Hasbro, and the other half would be the heirs of the Ruby Spears, company, and
Animation studio,
whoever, like,
which I guess would be Warner
and Warner
Brothers.
Brothers. Yeah. So basically, not only would you have to convince for an official Centurions line, Hasbro, you would possibly. I'm not really sure if Warner Brothers would have any say about the toys, but potentially Warner Brothers as well. So if you say Silverhawks was a no no, I don't know how hard Centurions might be. Maybe it would be easy, but supposedly this just complicates things.
Or for
Yes,
all
it
we know,
does.
they might all be showing up in Space Jam and New Legacy. Who knows?
Oh.
No, I'm just making my low joke there. I'm sorry.
So yeah. Anyways, Ace, I'm actually curious. Like, do you think approaching them once you sell a good volume of figures from the first series, do you think it would actually maybe oil some wheels there, some cog wheels that, and they would be like, hey, this is actually selling. Let's partner with these guys, or you would just get a cease and desist letter and they would like shut down the project. What's your take?
Um, I think we have to first of all establish ourselves with a good product, and hopefully, if we can get to know people in the licensor part who are empathetic, then we can probably do something.
Hmm.
Because if the other party is going to be like, okay, so you've done this, all right, so now you got to pay for that, then we are heading the wrong way. Because you know what we are factoring for cost now does not include royalties. So
Hmm.
if they were to come to us and want to sort of like backdate stuff, then it's not going to be something that we would want to venture into. So that's the
Hmm.
way. I mean, so in short, we have to negotiate the path ahead very carefully.
Hmm.
That's why 80s commanders is 80s commanders and nothing more. And
Hmm.
certain designs have to be changed and not exactly what you would think it is. And we just want to be low key. We had no idea that we would have such a big response, because we felt that we needed time to seed the market. That's why we put up the Facebook in January, thinking that we will take a long time for people to know who we are and what we're doing.
Hmm.
So had we known that it's going to be so well received, then, but of course we wouldn't know, right? But had we known that it's going to be well received, then we probably wouldn't have announced it so early. Because the moment you take too long to put a product out, then it's human nature for the zest to die down, and once that happens, then it's not good for the developer like us. So I mean, the customer always
Right.
wants
So
things yesterday. So
exactly. So actually, you didn't expect this much of an
not at
interest,
all.
or like, what was your expectation, and what how did you figure out? Oh, a lot of people want this.
Well, the fact that our uh, initial video that was put together, just like a minute video with only the
Mhm.
renders image, it has like 30,000 views. Of course, it
Whoa.
doesn't translate to anything, right? 30,000 views doesn't translate to sales, but the fact that it
Mhm.
has 30,000 views and shared over 220 times, so I think it's an indication that it's. I mean, and we have run different Facebook pages before. We have seen things, and this is not something we've seen before. So that's why we know that it's different.
Wow, that's impressive. And so, do you already have a set number for the first production run?
Yeah, we are conservatively still trying to make
Mhm.
just 1,000 sets and see how that goes.
But, there's always, of course, as the child inside us has, experiences favoritism, with toy lines. So, I think, like, I'm a Jake guy, so of course I'm looking for, of course, his version of, like the armor commander.
Hmm.
But I know that, Mark. I think, Mark, you're an ace guy, or a max guy.
Well, more of an ace guy, but yeah, I like them all.
Yeah. Did you actually consider, not equal produced of each figures, or like, are you going to be equal of each and see how the sales, decide which characters are more popular?
Yeah, currently we are doing it equal, and because we don't have a handle on exactly who is more popular than the other,
Mhm.
so we will just because on eBay you can see that everybody goes for about the same price if they are in the same condition, right? So
Although I'm not really sure if you look at chase items, I think scalpers might, for some of those, like, I don't know, I am again experienced with Transformers. Some toys of the same line, even maybe, different decos might catch different prices for, some unforeseen reasons. So that's why I'm curious, because I'll actually be. Really interested in how, which figures, because probably they will go, out of stock soon once you announce it, or hopefully. I'm curious which one will go out of stock the soonest. I'm putting my money on Armor Commander, but I don't know if you have any guesses regarding that.
well, we will let you know what's the result.
Awesome. And by the way, you did mention a like some kind of an incentive, like an early bird thing, or like a pre-sale or something like that. Can you tell our listeners more about that?
Yes, so we are putting up this early bird promotion. I think if we could get it together by Monday, so Monday will be like the 12th of April, I
Hmm.
think. So we are giving customers, collectors who are on our Facebook up till 1st of May. Any orders received before the first of on the 1st of May, before the 1st of May, each figure would be $65 before shipping.
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
So 65 as opposed to 80, 90.
89.90. Yes.
Gotcha. Huh. That's a
Yeah,
pretty good incentive.
and
Um,
yeah, I think we I think shipping for one figure to the states is like maybe only $10, 10 or $12.
that's pretty good.
And if we group three together, obviously it's not going to be $36. It's going to be much less, so like $20. So yeah,
Mhm.
so we will see how it goes.
Would you also have discounts for all three figures if somebody takes a whole set?
Now it's already enough of a incentive for one, so we can't do
Mhm.
like if you get three, then it's more. So we have to make a
Gotcha.
certain margin to first of all recover the tooling costs. So
Mm-mm-mm.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, and by the way, I apologize if this sounds too generalizing, because again, I've never been to China. I'm an outsider looking in. So I know that I sometimes order stuff from Alibaba, AliExpress, and they use this. I think it's called e-packet or something like that. Are you actually using that service, or will you use something more like another
Yes,
company, or like
e-packet
DHL?
e-packet is a reliable service from China Post to send small packets like such a figure. That's the reason why we want to keep the packaging as compact as possible so that it qualifies
Hmm.
for the e-packet. But again, these are all pre-COVID days.
Oh.
Pre-COVID days, the e-packets work fine, but ever since 2020, I did have a lot of experience with e-packets not arriving on time, taking
Hmm.
up to 2 to 3 months to arrive by airmail.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm not too sure if it's sorted out because we have not been shipping anything ever since the last time we shipped was in, I guess, May. So yeah, we
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
So
let's just let's
so
just hope let's just hope that shipping is back to normal. Then we can all
yeah.
rest, breathe easy. Yeah.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. Any questions on your side, Mark?
No, I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed this talk a lot, and I mean, Ace, you seem to know what you're doing when it comes to toys and the toy industry, and this whole talk has been very reassuring, and I'm really looking forward to the '80s Commanders.
Yeah, because I think again, I've on behalf of Dee and myself, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. Otherwise, we are also having customers, collectors who are posting questions on our Facebook say that, hey, I've been burned before with a Kickstarter that didn't go through, and what assurance do I have that I'm not going to be ripped off again? But I mean, if you are apprehensive, then my suggestion is that you hold off until you see the figure in the market and then you can buy it. That's the only way I can say it, because everything comes with a risk. We have the best of intentions to make the product. So everybody has a risk, right? I have a risk of making all these things hoping that it will sell. The customer who purchase it at the early bird has a risk of not getting the product. So everybody has a risk. You just have to mitigate the risk by assessing what's in front of you, and I guess that's the way we do it.
Makes sense. Are you actually going to use a specific, like any well-known sites to sell these? Any well-known platforms?
Like I said, currently we have a few interested retailers who wants to take the stock. But again, I
Mhm.
think the big players are people like BBTS, and
Oh yes.
because I know personally that BBTS does not engage in unlicensed products, so who knows if they will take it.
Wait, BBTS doesn't have any third-party toys?
No, they have third party for Transformers because they actually have a written authorization letter from Hasbro that allows them to sell Transformers. So if it's third party Transformers, they are good, but they do not stock anything other than third party Transformers. That's from what I
Really?
know.
Do you know why Hasbro might be so open with third-party Transformers but not any other, IPs?
I really wouldn't know. I really wouldn't know.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
because I was thinking of that. There's a Toy Source that has its own transfer, like TF Source subsite. So yeah, there are Entertainment Earth is there as well. So I'm sure there are a lot of these sites, but yeah, the making them actually sell it and Hasbro, being okay with this is probably another question though. So yeah, this is really awesome. And I really appreciate you guys spending the time to come on the show. And guys, thank you for listening to this episode. You'll be able to hear it wherever you hear or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also reach us on our Facebook page and listen to this, of course, on YouTube. And Ace D, thank you for your time. Mark, thank you for co-hosting this.
Thank you.
And as we sign off, Ace, would you please do the honors?
Power Extreme!